What are some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to dating in Africa? So now with this video, I'm going to actually talk about Africa as a whole, even though I am residing in the SADC region in the country of Zambia. So let's go ahead and get to the intro. Hey, Jason here. If you've been watching the channel, you've been seeing me as I've been on this 9-year journey as a nomad, doing it successfully. And now I'm on my fourth country, third continent in Lusaka, Zambia. And one of the things I've started doing is sharing some of my tips and secrets, how I've been able to do this full time. So if you're thinking about transitioning to a life abroad also, you can start doing it a lot simpler and easier and learn from some of the mistakes that I made. And so in this video is from a question I got on a previous video. And a lot of people are looking to move abroad to actually date, find marriage, or have children, or just to settle down altogether, which I personally think is a wonderful thing you can do. And the more that cultures actually start mixing together, it's going to create a better society as a whole. However, there are things that you need to watch out for. And like I always tell you, whenever I'm talking about videos about Africa, especially when it comes to dating and things like that, I'm going to tell you right now, do not just listen to the things that these passport bros are telling you. A lot of them are selling you a dream for clickbait. A lot of them are just doing this because this is their primary means of being able to support themselves overseas. So they need to have certain numbers so that they can actually keep afloat while they're living abroad. Because I live off of my military pension, plus I have other incomes that's coming in, I do not use this as that. So that's why I don't do clickbait titles. That's why I'm not out here selling your dream. And I'm telling you the truth from on the ground. This is my second year in Africa. And so the question that I was asked was, what are the rules and laws governing marriage in the area that you are currently living in? This would cover tribal as well as rules that the government has implemented. And this is a really great question because you have to be cautious when you're coming to any country in the world. You do not understand their traditional cultural laws. And here in Africa, here in Zambia, for instance, there are traditional cultural laws that supersede the court laws, the civil laws. And so you have to understand what you're getting yourself into. And so they do have different type of marriages here. You have the cultural marriage, or I know in Asia they call it the white marriage, which is the getting married through the court, getting a document signed, or doing the civil marriage, which is if you're from the United States or the UK, what we are accustomed to. You do have that marriage. And then you do have just a traditional marriage also here too. I think they call it a customary marriage. Now, under the customary marriage is a little bit more freedoms and liberties than what the traditional, the civil court marriage looks like. So civil court marriage, everything's the exact same. Also, let me just let you know this right up front. Women have the right to divorce here. So they do have the right to get a divorce here. Don't believe in this thing that they're selling you. The women are submissive. They're just wanting to cook and clean. They're looking for that man that can be their leader and control them. That's not true with everybody that's here, guys. There's a lot of independent women here. There's a lot of slay queens here. Slay queens, I think we would call them gold diggers. And I'm just going to be honest with you, you're going to find slay queens in the same place you're going to find those type of women in the U.S. Nightclubs, drinking, partying, the fancy restaurants, the nonsensical stuff. Let's be honest. So you do have to understand that. So I'm not going to even focus on what we're already accustomed to in the U.S. because nothing changes. It's the exact same. I think the only thing that may be different is those weddings cost more here because you do have to do traditional things on top of it as well. Now, with the customary or traditional things you can do, like if you pay lobola or the dowry here, then once you pay that woman is your wife. Like you are supposed to be taking care of her. So don't just be going out here paying dowries and lobola everywhere. Also, this is one of the things you really have to be careful for in Africa. Do not just go meeting people's family. You do not understand what that means on a cultural level. And a lot of different tribes on a cultural level, if you as a man going to meet their family, that's you saying you have intent of taking care of that woman. You plan on being the supporter and the provider. You plan on being the husband. And for some tribes, traditions, that is all you need. All you have to do is go to the family home, meet the family. Sorry, electricity about to come back. I didn't want that fan coming on. And all you have to do is actually go to the family, meet them, meet the father, the mother, or the grandparents. And now that's your wife. And in some instances, they will actually pack her up and bring her to your place and tell you she's yours now. It's your job to take care of her. So be careful of that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't date here. It doesn't mean you can't find good women here. But just like every other country in the world, most women have been sold this dream of they need to be married. So when you meeting women at certain ages here, it may be shunned on. They may be shunned on or looked down on because they are not married. And this is one of the problems when it comes to someone out of an outside culture living in a different culture. You need to understand these things. You need to take your time, and you need to make sure you're not doing things that is setting you up for failure. Now, for men and women, let me just say this. We need to get out of the relationship part of needing something. Like a lot of men feel like, oh, I need a woman that can cook and clean. You need to be able to do those things for yourself. A lot of women think, oh, I need a man. And you see a lot in this passport bro jargon that they be like, oh, the problem with modern American women is they always saying they don't need a man. You do not want a woman that needs a man. Needing is a subservient. And what I mean by that is when you need something, you are subservient to that item or to that end goal. You want a woman that wants a man, that desires a man. These words sound similar, but they are not the same meaning. And this is one of the biggest problems with English language. Just because you can speak English does not mean you have an understanding or grasp of what those words truly mean. The school systems have set us up with English to set us up in a way to where we're using words incorrectly. You do not ever want to need something. You want to desire or want it. And the thing with that is when you say you need something, you're saying it's lesser than you, so you need that to make you better. And this is where a lot of modern relationships are messing up. The man thinking he need a woman for this, the woman thinking she need a man for that. And they're both low. And so none of your expectations are getting met. And it's not going to change coming here to Africa, guys. I'm being honest with you. Like we have to realize we live in a global world that is shrinking by the minute. Like even now, I'm in Zambia, Lusaka, Zambia. People all across the world is able to watch these videos and see me. Where it used to be, if you wanted to hear from me from this place, it could take months. Like really look at that. Like someone can video call me right now, or I can go live here on this platform and just show you what it looks like in Africa right now. That is how small the world is. You can now get an understanding and grasp an understanding of what places that you may have never had the opportunity to understand. And so we have to start understanding better the words that we're using and start picking the right ones. So if you're a guy, you need to understand what are the things that you want from a woman. If you're a woman, you need to understand what are the things that you want from a guy. Now, I will tell you this. If the things that you're wanting from the opposite person do not align with your value system, you will never be able to find the right person. You're going to keep finding people that you do not like or that do not match with you. And that's how bitterness is going to start sitting in. I'm telling you. Like me personally, I don't want a woman that works a 9 to 5. I don't value selling your time to some corporation, government, anybody to where they own you. I value freedom. I value liberty. Like I value that at a very core. That's something the military taught me is like, I don't ever want to be in that situation again where I'm having to ask for time off or being told what to do. And I can't even if it's disagreeing with my morals, I have to do it. So for me, I value freedom, true freedom. And so I prefer women that are entrepreneurial. Like that is what I value. And so for me, I always want women that have that hustle, that grit, that grind. Like, hey, I'm trying to better my life and I'm going to do what it takes to better my life. because that's how I am also. I'm going to always continue to better my life and see what I can do. I may fail at some things, I may succeed at some things, but at least I know when the day comes and I'm no longer on this earth breathing, I did what I had to do to try to better my life. That's a part of my value system. So do not think just coming to Africa, you're going to find this submissive woman who wants to cook, clean, cater to you, and then all of this. You need to understand what's going on. And also for the guys out there are going to be women out here that's going to try to trick you based off of them understanding you do not have a comprehension of the cultural traditions here. So I'm telling you right now, as a man, if you're coming to any country in Africa, do not meet their family. That's not saying their family's bad. It's not a bad thing. You need to understand the cultural traditions of the person that you're talking to before you put yourself in a place or a situation to where now you're uncomfortable or you're angry at that person. And then bitterness starts sitting in, and then you're just a salty person like, oh, Africa sucks. The women in Africa, you this, they do that. It's your job to understand their culture and traditions. They're not going to always tell you the truth. The same way if when women go to America, people don't always tell them the truth. Like, hey, look at like 90 Day Fiance, for instance. Most of those guys selling them this American dream and don't let them know, look, I'm working and I'm barely making it. It's expensive. It's hard. Like, hey, this place ain't as easy as you think it is. And then you always see when the woman or man get there and they're like, I could have stayed at home. I was living a better life there. So do not put yourself in a situation to get bitter or angry like that. And I hope this helped you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you're a guy that is dating in Africa and you have something that you want to add to this, add it below. Even if you're in a different country, let people know like, hey, if I'm in Uganda, if I'm in Ghana, if I'm in Kenya, let them know down below what are some of the things they need to watch out for. We need to start telling the truth. We need to start being honest with one another, because these are the things that's going to help bring the right people to the continent and also get people that are going to stay in the continent that can really help create a new Africa and develop Africa to the beautiful potential that it truly has. And so that's it for today. And just remember this, I'm Jason, and success is simple once you know how.